All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for attending with us today. My name is Anna Radchenko, and I'm one of the training and support representatives here at Hawks Learning. Today, we have a great speaker here with us today, Daniel Holbrook. Daniel Holbrook is a lecturer of management at Emmanuel College and an assistant professor at Berklee College of Music. From 2017 to 2020, Holbrook taught statistics, finance, and AP economics at the Middlesex School in Concord, Massachusetts. Prior to working at Middlesex, Holbrook held adjunct teaching positions at Northwood University, Lesley University, and Shona University. Holbrook is a 2008 graduate of University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth, where he was also the captain of the basketball team and an All-American basketball player. Upon graduation, Holbrook worked at the State Street Corporation and Lexington Wealth Management. In 2011, Holbrook graduated from Bentley University, where he earned a dual MBA degree in economics and financial markets and finance. Holbrook has coached college basketball for over a decade and is a co-founder of Breakout Technologies, a five-star flag football camp, and Pump It Up Basketball. We will have a live question and answer session with Professor Holbrook today, so please enter any questions into the question and answer section as we go, and we'll get to them after the presentation. This webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be sent to all attendees when the video is processed and ready for distribution. So without any further ado, I will hand this off to Professor Holbrook for our presentation today using Breakout Fun to enhance your in-person or virtual classes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. And thank you for everybody for being here. I'm so happy we have so many people, 56 people. That's great. This is my second time presenting with my co-presenters at Hawks Learning. And we had a wonderful experience in the first one a couple months ago. And so we're just so happy that we're back. And I hope that in our presentation today, we can introduce you to something that can be of use to you in your classroom. Something that works both virtually and in person. So thanks so much. And I'm going to introduce my two co-presenters, first being Miss Leonie Crutina. Leonie is one of my top students at Emmanuel College. She was in my in an introduction to business course and also in an economics course this semester. So she's presented now at 3 or 4 conferences. So she's wonderful, and I'm so thankful that she's a part of it. And then also my dear friend John Igo, who is one of our co-creators of this product. So thank you so much to them. I'm going to pass it off now to Leonie, and then I'll be back in just a little bit to show you the demo.
Okay, thank you very much for introducing me. We're going to lead you through our presentation today and give you a few insights, such as an introduction with a student's perspective, as well as a little demo and tips on how to use our software in your own classrooms. So we're going to start with the student perspective. And as an instructor, whether you teach at a university or you teach in high school, you've probably come across online learning and hybrid learning, and you've probably faced some difficulties with getting your students engaged. Many of them don't have enough motivation to work together anymore. A lot of people don't feel really happy in the online learning environment, or it's kind of awkward with the hybrid classes. And Breakout Fun is here to address those issues. With Breakout Fun, you actually have more of a game environment, and students have more incentive to work together, get to know their classmates, and it really engages them in learning the new subjects. And as you see, with Breakout Fun, you don't only have students working together, but you as a presenter and you as an instructor can actually interact with your students as well. Since you can write little messages to them, you can actively participate in the games as well and give them instructions such as, hey, there's just like 5 minutes left, or you can even help them with icebreakers and introduce yourself as well if it's your first time teaching that class. And as you can see down in the right corner, you have a quote from one of the students, "The worst part about online learning is entering a breakout room where everyone has their cameras off and is muted," which is very relatable to most students. And this software is here to address those issues.
All right, so I'll just give you a little bit of an overview of why it was created. So I was teaching advanced placement economics to seniors at the Middlesex School in Concord, Massachusetts, which is a private boarding school. And I was kind of crunched for time because I had these other projects going on that I had to grade. And I was like, you know, just doing everything I could to just get everything done. And I was thinking to myself, like, oh, I didn't really have too much prep time for this class coming in, you know. And sometimes what you might do is you might just say, hey, here are some questions, and you got kids are going to work together in little groups and complete the questions. So I came up with this idea. I'm like, well, what I could do is I could build an Excel spreadsheet that had conditional formulas in it where the kids can type in the answers to the questions and it will automatically grade it and kind of keep track, and we could play it by rounds. So it was a game that was created, or an activity creator that was made for in-person use, which it works wonderful online, wonderful, but in person is really where it's great. So anyways, what I did was the kids came in, I had them sit and talk, you know, organize themselves in groups. I had each one of the groups come up with a fun team name. And then what I did was I passed out questions to the kids, and we answered specific numbers of questions in each round. And what I found was the kids really enjoyed it. And, you know, shortly thereafter, I was like, okay, well, this is a great way to prepare for assessments, or it's a great way for the kids to do an icebreaker activity, or just work together, collaborative, learn, have some fun, have like kind of like a normal break from the typical school day. And it's an activity that everybody's done before who's a teacher, right? Hey, you're going to work on these problems, but it added a little bit more of an element of some competitiveness, as well as, you know, working and talking. The kids get to actually do something together as a group. There's other things out there like this. You know, a lot of people will say, well, what about Kahoot? You know, there's Kahoot has something. Kahoot, yes, but it's different in the way that, you know, with Kahoot, a lot of the activities is how fast did you complete the answer determines how many points you got. Or a lot of the stuff with Kahoots isn't as easy to set up as this is what you're going to see when we show you. It's a very quick setup time. It's a very lightweight tool, and it can also be you know, played on cell phones as well. So there's a whole bunch of things that we have built into it that we will show you. So now I'm going to pass it off to my partner John.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So I'm going to give a real quick overview of the components of the game, show you what goes into creating it, how quickly you can set it up, and then we'll actually play a round or two here, depending on how much time we have. So basically, the overall premise is that Breakout Fun uses your own questions to create you know, fun and competitive activities that really stimulate student interaction, teamwork, and adds some great engagement to the class, as Dan and Leonie were touching on it previously. It can be used by any teacher, no matter what subject they teach, and the students you know, really enjoy working together to problem solve and learn collaboratively as they compete against the other groups in class. So the original Breakout Fun was built in Excel and Google Sheets. We have a web application that we're currently working on in development that we hope to have ready sometime during the summer in preparation for the return to school in the fall. But basically, this is the control panel of Breakout Fun, and this is what you would see as the teacher or professor. And this is where you make the parameters of the game. So you come up with the number of teams. So if you have a 15-person classroom, let's say, you can put in, you know, 3 teams of 5 or whatever it may be. You put in the questions per round, and you put in the number of rounds. And from there, it really creates the game for you. You can enter in the team names that the kids have come up with, or maybe you have long-term study groups that are already set and have names or identifiers. But as you can see here, this is an example from, I think, one of Dan's classes where the students came up with these. And then basically, as the professor, you just take your question set, you have the answer key, and over here in step 3, you just go line by line and enter in the correct answers. You click create game, and it's really as quick as that. And basically your lesson prep is done and you're ready to play. So as you play, the kids will go into their assigned tabs, and you'll see this when we do the demo, but there will be tabs at the bottom for each team. And essentially you'll take the kids will either go into their breakout rooms, or if you're in class, you'll huddle together. But this is the answer sheet. And as the kids work on the problems one by one, they are able to input the answers. And then the professor is also able to send quick messages here, hurry up, we've got 20 seconds left on the timer. You can customize the timer to whatever amount of time you want, and shoot them hurry up notifications. You can even do icebreakers in there to get the students talking before they start the problem set. Really provide you a lot of flexibility to the different breakout rooms or groups in the class. So as they go through, they'll put in their answers here, and then the round is up. So you can see here, time's up, round is over. That's Dan sending that reminder to the kids. So once the round is over, you can bring them back out of the breakout rooms. And as Leonie said, we'll touch on some of the best practices in Zoom and some of the cool things you can do in the platform as well, so that you can really be smooth with these transitions. But basically, once they come back, you now show the answer board, and this is the scoreboard. And as you can see, it calculates all of the answers that were put in. You can see questions that maybe a lot of people struggled with. So 4 and 5, that could be some course material that you might want to revisit, given that a couple teams struggled with that now. And it really kind of gives you insights into how the students are processing the course material in the context of the game. So as the round is finished, they can go back in for round 2, and it's basically the same process through the 3 rounds that you've created. So some of the benefits that Dan and Leonie have touched on here is what's really cool is it works great no matter what the setting. So it can be done in person, which is how Dan actually came up with the idea. It was before any of us kind of knew what remote learning even really was on a big level. It was adapted to be played during the remote learning pandemic situation that we all found ourselves in suddenly last year. And Dan really had a lot of success playing it with his students, and Leonie can attest to this as she was actually in the classes and stuff like that. And then it also works in a hybrid setting as well, where maybe you have some kids in the class, some kids remote, and the remote kids can be put into breakout rooms while the students in class work together. It switches up the usual routine. It gets the students talking together, which is really something that we've heard has been a challenge in this remote environment. And then most importantly, or not most importantly, but also it's quick and easy. Most games can be set up within 10 minutes or less. And it's an easy setup and very intuitive for the students to use. It doesn't take a long time for them to figure out how to input their answers and stuff like that. All right, I'm going to hand it back over to Dan, and we'll actually play a demo with all of you on this presentation.
Great, thanks so much. Okay, so let me just share my screen now. If John, you could unshare yours. Great. All right, so I'm gonna just go through real quick, and this is free, so you guys can all get this and play around with it, however you'd like. So what we have is say the Hawks, right? If you've got a Hawks textbook and you have question banks for them, right? I have folders on my computers just filled with question banks and stuff, and it's very easy for me to kind of just put those questions together and have them look kind of like what you're looking at right now. So what I like to do is I put them in Google, I just dragged over a Microsoft Word file right into my Google Drive, and now it's on Google Drive. So what I'm going to do is, actually, I'll send you that in a second. We'll go through. So you provide the questions, and the other cool thing is this, like, it works great for matching questions. It works great for math questions, as long as like you're not doing too much with the decimal points, you know what I mean? But like any kind of questions like this, it's great. Multiple choice. Check this out. I did a baby shower a couple weeks ago. There was over 50 people in it. We played with almost 15 teams. I created these questions about like having baby, with movies and stuff like that. You can really get creative. We also did one where you had to name that artist, where I don't even know if you guys will be able to hear this, but you can play. So there's a lot of things you can do. Obviously what you're looking at here, there's a good amount of setup time, but it's very versatile. And we've had like rave reviews about this wedding the baby shower. So there's a lot of things you can do it. I sold a copy because I used to sell it to somebody who did it with a family reunion. Anyways, so if you go to the, if you were to go to the site to download this, what's going to happen is you put your information in, just your email and your name and like where you're from. And what it does is it sends you a link to a Google Drive file, right? So then you would open up the file and you just got to save it on your own Google Drive. So that's what's kind of cool about it. It sits on Google Drive. And then, you have to give it permission to run, because this is a macro, which it's going to say, do you give permission for this tool to operate? Because there's code involved. That's how Google works with their plugins and things that developers produce and stuff like that. But don't worry, it's not going to do anything. And you can even read the code if you want to. Anyways, so when I set this game up, all I have to do is just input these fields, and if I had no teams, like say you came here, right, you want 5 teams, put it in. I have it already set up, but say we wanted to play 5 questions in each round and we wanted to play 2 rounds, so you can completely customize this however you want. And you just type in what you want to do. Again, I just put 5 teams in, 5 questions per round and 2 rounds. So we'll play 10 questions, but you could also set it up with like 10 questions in 1 round. You can set this up so everybody in your class, instead of it being a team, it could be individual. I don't recommend it for assessment purposes because that's not what this is for. You could, but I don't recommend that. There's other things for that. And then, you can give the kids their own names. I just put these in real quick, just type them in. And then like John showed you earlier, you just put the answers in. So now what I do is all I have to do here is hit the create button. And what it's going to do is it's going to tell you that a new game is being created. It's going to take like 30 seconds. Here's the scoreboard. The scoreboard was just created. It also depends on how many teams you have. And then here is a tab. Take a look at where my mouse is. All the tabs are popping up for where the kids will go for their team. Okay. Now, the reason why I said that I don't recommend it for assessment purposes is because technically you could look at somebody's answers. Not when we have the web application now. The web application, you won't be able to do that. But, it's not for assessment purposes. And the other thing is, if you go into somebody else's sheet, they can actually tell that you're in there. So, just tell the kids you stay in your sheets. I've played this with hundreds of students and no issues. So here's the scoreboard. The only person who has access to this scoreboard, well, everybody can see it, but only the owner of the file, you, can actually access these controls here, okay? So the students can't come in here and they won't be able to click on anything. I'm gonna share this with you in a second. And so once it's made, you can click this share link button. And what it does is it automatically allows you to copy the link and it gives permission for people to edit it. So it's good. You click this link right here, boom. It takes care of having to like, you know how you can like click here and like change this so that anyone, you can change the settings here and stuff. Well, this script just does it for you and it automatically copies it for you. so that I can then send it to you all. Here, I'll send it to you in the chat. You guys can all open it up. So you can open up this link that I just sent you. I can see that people are coming in, but you guys are all playing it as guests too. You don't need a Google account to play this. You don't need to log in. You do if you're running the game, but nobody else. So I have 21, I got like 20 something people in here. Awesome. So what you guys can do is, why don't you click around, be careful. You don't want to delete things in here, like, because there's scripts involved. You know what I mean? There's like, this one is not just a one, it's a script. So you really only type in here. You just type in where you got to put the answers in, and that's it. Then what I would do is I would share with you these questions. So here, I'm putting them in the chat. If you're in class though, you can just hand them out to the students. So it's great. Like me, I love to give students problem sets where they work together, and then they keep the sheets for study purposes. You know what I mean? So they have the questions, you print them out, here are the questions, study them after, whatever. So here are all the questions. And what you can do is when you play, you can just have one person go back and forth. Here are the questions. Okay, we're on number 1. All right. What's the answer? We put the answer in, right? I can see people already putting some answers in, and what I would do is I like to play it in rounds. So I'll be like, okay, we're just doing the first 5 questions. That's it. I can set the timer, works in seconds. So 300 seconds would be 5 minutes. Typically when I play with the kids, I'll do like 7 questions in 5 minutes. As you can see, here comes the clock, it's ticking down. And you can also see that from this view as well. I can type you some questions. Hey, let's fire up, whatever, But the other thing that I like to do too is, which was great, if like you're using it kind of like I used to do the breakout questions. So take a look right up here. What I would do is I would say, okay, when you guys go into your breakout rooms, everybody is you're going to spend a minute just going around the room answering a question. Hey, my name's Dan. My favorite place I've been to is Positano. I don't know, whatever. And, but some of these questions get the kids talking and stuff. And like, what I'll do is like, I'll be sitting out here. I'll be like, Dan's favorite ice cream is, I don't know, chocolate, whatever. I can write whatever I want to these kids. And sometimes it'll be like, what's your favorite movie? And I'll write like Forrest Gump or something like that. I don't know. If you want to stop the clock, you can stop the clock, but the thing also is you as the teacher can kind of monitor, like I know this group, the Bears, they're not done yet. I can jump around to see how are the students doing with the questions. And then when the time is up, right, like I'll send them a message like, hey, hurry up. I'll send them the message. Then if we're playing it on virtually, what I do is I'll close the breakout room. I'll be like, room's closing soon. Or you can also send the messages. You can also send the messages through the broadcast in Zoom. You know what I mean? So using it online can be a little tedious. If you're really good with Zoom and setting up the breakout rooms and stuff like that, becomes, can be very easy. Like for me, I love it because I've gotten good at it. But much easier to use in the classroom, super easy to use in the classroom. So now, when the round's over, I would close the breakout rooms. Or if we're in the classroom, I'd say, okay, let's check this out. And only the teacher can display the answers by clicking on this little box right here. And like John said, like we can go over which ones are what. I can ask the kids, are there any questions that you may have or whatever? No? Okay, fine. Let's go to the next round. I'll send them back in the breakout rooms and then I'll let them play. I'll start the game. I'll send them a message. I'll set the timer back up. Usually when the first time I play this with a group of students, there's a slight learning curve at the beginning, just because we got to make sure that students know how to get into their sheets. You know where to go. But once kids figure it out, this thing flows really nicely in a virtual setting. Hopefully we're done with all that, but if we're not, who knows? And then the only other thing that I recommend is Zoom settings. John, do we have that in our PowerPoint coming up?
Yeah, we do.
We do?
Bring it back up.
Let me just show them one more thing before we do that. Now, say the game's over, the game's over. only you can go to the control panel. So you can click this button to get back, but if you're good with Google Sheets too, you can also get it from going to these like little 3 lines right here, you know, but you can just hit this control panel button, but none of you guys could hit that because you're not the sheet owner, you don't have access. And then if you want to just reset it, you can just reset the game and it'll get you ready for another game. Everything will be deleted, cleared out for you to then set up your game. And then that's it. So, and the other thing is this, if you download this and you delete something, or, you know, you delete one of the formulas or something, you can just re-download it. So, you know, because you just delete that file, re-download it. So it's good. I haven't really had any problems with people corrupting the file. I haven't had any really issues with the kids using it. It's definitely something that if you wanted to implement, I would recommend you practicing. You know, obviously a little bit, as you know, you as being teachers, you're used to putting in that kind of time to prepare for class. But you know, it's the type of activity where, say you're on, you know, you're really been highly utilized during the week and you need a mental break. This is a type of activity where the kids will, you know, probably tell you thank you when they leave, and something that they'll probably ask you about wanting to play again. So that's that. And John, if you want to take over the screen to pop that PowerPoint up, we can wrap up with some of the Zoom stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so one of the things is this. So if you can look at the picture to the right here, this is when you click the gear. Can you zoom into that little gearbox, John? I'm not sure if you. Yes, a little bit lower. Yeah, right there. So you see the little gear towards the bottom to the left of where it says recreate. When you click on that, Zoom automatically has the rooms close at like 60 seconds. So like if kids are in breakout rooms and you close them, it'll do like a 60-second countdown. So when I play this game, and just my Zoom settings in general, I don't do that. When I want to put students into the rooms, I set it up so that they automatically go to the rooms. As you can see, we have it set up to the right. The other thing is that's cool also though, is because I also teach at Berklee College of Music, and over there, the students don't have Zoom accounts. They're all guests. So that does not allow you to automatically put them into rooms. You got to do it manually, and we know that can stink. But what you can do is, if you have all your students update Zoom, or if you have them join from the web browser version, there's an option to allow your students to choose their own rooms. So what you can do is you can open up the rooms and you can say, hey, go to your room. And then everybody just clicks it right away. But if they do have Zoom accounts, it's best, in my opinion, just in my opinion of running Zoom in general, is like when we open up the rooms, they just automatically get put into the rooms, as opposed to students having to click the join button. Because then, you know, you get some student who wasn't paying attention, and then they're sitting in the room and it's like, hey, how come you didn't go in your room? And it becomes awkward. And then you're telling them something and they're not responding or whatever. So those are the settings that I prefer in the Zoom. And then, you know, obviously, if you're able to pre-assign your students into the rooms, or the picture on the left, which is from the Zoom settings on their website, they, you know, allow pre-assigned the breakout rooms with the student ID numbers or email addresses, actually. So those are the recommended settings. I just recommend, if you are still dealing with students with Zoom, it's super important to remind students, make it an extra credit assignment even, to update your Zoom, because it can make your class function a lot better because of the new features that Zoom has in its last couple updates. But yeah, you know, and that's pretty much all that I have to say. But, you know, if there's anybody going forward, if you want to send me an email, or if you want us to come demo or whatever, you know, we're happy to, we just want to try to give something that's useful to teachers that, you know, you might enjoy and your students might enjoy. So let's, we'll have John wrap up, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So I think you you kind of touched on everything, but as we mentioned, we're at developing the game into an application that won't rely on either Excel or Google Sheets that we expect to have in the near future. And the goal is to have it ready for the return to school after summer break. We're offering a free copy of the original version to all the attendees today. You can claim it on the website or via the link that Leonie put into the chat. And as Dan said, if you have any feedback, questions, looking for a demo, anything like that, we're always looking for feedback and any way to make the experience better. So feel free to reach out at any time. And I think we can roll into the Q&A now.
Thank you all so much. I'll go ahead and start with our Q&A. One of the first questions in here is this limited to classes based on Hawks, or can I use this game without a Hawks textbook? And it sounds like, go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, so using a Hawks textbook is always preferred. But yeah, so you can use this, you know, with any questions you want. If you have some saved, if you want to create your own. Obviously, if you're going to create your own, the setup time becomes more. If you have the questions, like I have question banks already saved over the years for specific units of different types of courses or whatever, I just grab those in 2 seconds and you know, they're ready. Like for instance, the questions I sent you all, you know, once they're made, and the setup's pretty easy.
Great, thank you so much for that. Another one was, how will this work in a flex hybrid course with some students synchronous online while some are face-to-face?
So what I would recommend in that situation is you could have, but it could turn into bandwidth problems. Assuming that the bandwidth is good, what I would probably do is I would have everybody be on Zoom. You know, bring your computers to class, and you have the people who are home would be on Zoom, and then the people in the classroom would be on Zoom as well, and you could put them together. So you could do it that way.
Great, thank you again. Another person asked, is this limited to multiple choice?
John, you want to answer that?
Yeah, no, it's not limited to multiple choice. I think a lot of what we see are people using multiple choice, but there's matching. You can do the song identification for the baby shower that you saw. You can do, you know, just a couple answers, but I think the two main components that we see used are either multiple choice or matching. Yeah, and I don't know if you have more to add on that.
So to be honest, one of the main reasons why I came up with this idea is when I was teaching AP Economics. So AP Economics and AP Statistics, and a lot of AP classes in general, have tons of multiple choice questions where it's like the students need reps in these questions. So it like worked really good in that regard. But you could also use it for mathematics if you want them to input numbers. You can pretty much input whatever you want into those answer sheets. But the problem is it has to be an exact match. So if the answer was 10.2 and somebody point 10.23, it would be incorrect. So that for that piece of it, in this version anyways, is definitely one of the limitations. In the web application version that we have, it also has a feature for you to be able to create your own questions within the game and store question banks. So it kind of would come with a couple more features that were kind of more in line with Zoom. That obviously has more setup time attached to it. You know, if you've made a Zoom game or a Jeopardy board game, right, it takes a long time to build that. But really, one of the things that I really like about it, we refer to it as the quick game, where it's like, okay, you know, I don't have much time to prepare for my class. I got some questions. We can set up this game real quickly. But it also is going to have features where you can import questions. There'll be specific formats of how you can format your questions to upload them automatically, store question banks. You can, students can play as a guest, or they could play as an actual user, where you could store grades if you wanted to. The assessment piece of it was not why we created it, but it could be used for that. I just don't recommend it unless it's completely secure. But just because of the Excel sheet or the Google Sheet version that you saw, you can click into other people's tabs. So.
Thank you so much. Another question was, though, you said you don't recommend it as an assessment. Can it be linked or integrated into Gradebooks in the LMS?
With this version right here, there's no way to do that. But with the web application version, it is built in an open sense that we are able to link it to different types of, the programmer also, which is wonderful. He is one of my former students, and he is also a Moodle programmer. So it's like an awesome thing that we have with him as well. But for right now, no, it does not link to that, to any kind of Blackboard or Canvas. But that's definitely something that we would love to do in the future, possibly.
Great. Another question was, if the school uses Outlook instead of Gmail, is there an issue with that?
So one thing that we do have is I do have an Excel version actually. It was like the original one that I created. I'd be happy to, I've already sent it to people. So I'd be happy if you want to send me an email, I can send you a version of that and you can just play with it and see if you like it. It actually works great. And what you can do is if you use Outlook, you can upload, if you have OneDrive, you can put it in your OneDrive and share it with students that way.
Great, thank you so much. Another question was, are the questions on screen in the breakout room, or do they need multiple tabs open?
So in the web application version that we have, the answer sheet will look a little bit different because it will also have the questions on screen. If you're playing a quick game though, so for the quick game, you got to give the students the questions. So the best way that I've done it is I like to put it in Google Drive so that you have your browser open and you can just kind of go back and forth. Works pretty well. But the only way that the questions are going to be on the screen would be in the web application version that we have coming out. And it's also, that one is going to be a little different because you can play the quick game with it where you give the students the questions, or you can play a version of the game where a question displays on the screen and the students click A, B, C, or D, or enter in what it is if it's matching. So we have that feature. That is hopefully, we're really hoping that he's going to be finished before he leaves to go work for Amazon in the summertime. So hopefully that will happen.
Great, thank you so much. And then another question was, can you save the results of a game before you delete it and go on to another one?
In the web application version, yes. In this one, technically you could do that because what you could do is you could recopy the file in your Google Drive. So like this file, I cleared this one out, but if you wanted to, you could literally just make a copy of the file in Google Drive. And that's so if you corrupt the file, you can just go get it again and you can copy it 1,000 times if you'd like. But so in the web application version though, what would be is like, it would save each one of your games and the results from each one of your games. And it also gives you analytics that you can export or print or whatever you want to do with it.
Perfect.
Also always take a screenshot and provide it to them with the question set so they can see the answers and the breakdowns.
Yep. Oh, I don't know. So that was one other thing that maybe let me grab the screen. One thing that I'm not sure if I emphasized. So after you play the game, when you click this button right here, it displays all the correct answers right here as well. And then the other thing it does is if you for this one, let's say I got C. So this one, it also tells you right up here what the correct answers are. So like if you're in the classroom and you gave your students like a question sheet, you make sure that they have all the correct answers. If they got something wrong, they leave the classroom with all the correct answers. And then also all the correct answers display right up here too. So students know, when they leave, they know what they have to do.
Perfect. Someone else asked, what is the estimated cost of the app when it's ready?
From the app when it's ready? Oh, it's at most it'd be $20.
All right, great, thank you. And then another asked, do you have any suggestion for a stats class?
For stats class, I love teaching statistics. If you're teaching statistics, I love the website's statsmedic.com. It is great. Statsmedic. Google that. In terms of using this for statistics, I did it. I teach statistics over at Berklee College of Music. I taught 2 sections this semester. And we use this a bunch. Well, I used it like 3 times, I think. Just in terms of preparing kids for assessments, because it's great. It's a great activity for, you have a test coming up next, a couple classes, and it's like, okay, here, you guys can work together, see how you are with the material. So I definitely do use it for that. And I used questions banks from Hawk's Learning.
Great, thank you so much for that again, Daniel. One individual asked, my wife is due in October. How can I get that baby shower game? Which does sound epic.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. So here, let me share this with you. I'll send it in the chat right now. This thing is great too. If you're going to use this with Breakout Fun, if you need help with it, let me know, because I'll meet with you, and I would love to help you do it. I could even jump on and help be an operator for it if you wanted. I'd be happy to. When we did the baby shower, I had all my friends, like John came in and he was helping out in one of the rooms.
I was there. People loved it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that last link I said, so what you just need to do is open that last link I sent and then just make a copy of it to your Google Drive. And yeah, I also put instructions for like people, like how to share your screen in that little thing I just sent you as well. So hopefully that can help you out and customize it however you want.
Perfect, thank you again. And another asked, I would like to download the product today. Instead of saving it to Google Drive, can I save to OneDrive right away with that version?
So this version of it right here only operates on Google Drive because it's a Google script. It's a macro file. It's basically script that you would use to be able to automate a repetitive task. You can write scripts to tell it to do things specifically. So that version that I just showed you today is it only works on Google Drive. But I have the Excel version that if you want to send me an email, I will forward it to you. If anyone wants that, I'll forward it to you. And what you would do is you build the game. It actually is much faster too. You hit one button and it's just created. And then what you would do is you would just share that file on your OneDrive with your students. So that would work as well. So yeah, just send me an email and I'll be happy. If you can even go to my website and just go to the contact link, let me know that you want the Excel and I'll send it to you. But even if you don't, if your students, if your school does not use Google Drive, you can just create an account and a free account and just put this game on there, because none of your students need to have a Google account because you can play it as a guest. So that would be what I would recommend, just because there's more features in what I just showed you than the other one. The other one does not have a timer, for instance. It does have text messaging, but there's no timer. If a timer is important to you. Sometimes you don't need a timer. You can kind of use this game and you're kind of limited to like your own imagination, really.
Great. Someone else asked, are there other ways of making up questions other than Google Sheets?
Oh yeah. So what I used to do was I used to just give the kids, what I would do is in the classroom, I just print them out and hand them to them. Online, I could also, like, for instance, here, let me show you. You can do, check this out. Let me see if this works. I don't know if it'll let me. I don't know if I don't think I have permission right now. But one thing you can do is you can just send them the file right in the chat on Zoom. I just tried to do it, but I don't have permission. But it's I mean, you don't need to do. But you know how you can send? You can just literally drag the file. Oh, here we go. Here.
Yeah, I think you should be able to now.
I don't know if it's. Yeah, I don't. It's not letting me. There's a back end setting to share files. It's probably not set up. But yeah, if you have that set up, you can just drop things right into the chat, and the students can get them that way, or you can email them. I put them. I have all mine on Microsoft Word. But any format, PDF's good.
Great. One other person asked, how can we get notified when that web app is available? So
when you sign up, so here, I'll show you my the website. So when you go to the website, it's very basic. Basically, I just built this site so that I could just give it away to people. There's a lot of stuff in the back end that's not set up once the web app comes up. But here's a little demo video, or here's a little explainer video. I have a demo video on here that's kind of short that you can also watch. All you have to do is click this free download button. And right here, you'll just input your name, where you're from. This is optional, you don't even have to. And then your email. And then as soon as you fill this out, it's going to send you an email and it will say, hey, welcome and whatever. Here's a link. Click on this link, save it to your Google Drive. And then anyone who gets this, you can have this for life. So even if you don't want the web app, you want to just use this, that's cool. But we're just going to notify everybody as soon as it's out to be like, hey, come check it out. And there's going to be a free trial period as well.
Great, thank you so much. It looks like, would you mind sending that link for the baby shower game again in the chat? It looks like a few people are not seeing that.
I love
Baby
that.
shower game's a hit, Dan.
Baby shower game, I love it, yeah. Okay, you guys are the attendees. See if that works. Anyone with
attendees?
Yeah, so then all you want to do is just go to File and make a copy. You might be able to download it too, I don't know. Maybe you can download it as an Excel or as a PowerPoint. Yeah, it looks like you can. I guess I just gave everybody permission to edit it, so I probably should have just gave you permission, but whatever. So yeah, just make a copy. You guys can play with that.
Great. Well, it looks like that is the end of the questions I'm seeing so far. We do still have about 10 more minutes. So if anyone has their questions for Daniel, John, or Leonie, feel free to go ahead and put them in that Q&A. I did also go ahead and just copy and paste in that link to the baby shower game right as an answer to the question as well. So hopefully everyone has access to that now.
Yeah, it's like 17 people looking at it.
One person is asking for your direct email address, Daniel, so that they can get in touch with you.
Sure. I'll put my personal email in the chat.
All right, and I'll go ahead and I'll just reply with that directly to the question as well, so everyone can see that. I see one person is asking about our certificate for attending. So you will receive the recording of this webinar once it is available, and any other documentation. Once that recording is available, it will go out to all attendees. I see one other question is asking, so only I as instructor would need to buy the app, not the individual students, correct?
Yes, that is one. So that's one of the things that we are really, really want because, and that is also a reason that kind of plays into the not wanting to use it for the assessment pieces as well, because your students are going to be using it as a guest. We're going to create an option where everybody would have to get an account. But to be honest with you, one of the hardest things that I have in terms of running a class is getting kids to sign up for things. Like I do big stock market competitions, and it's like pulling teeth trying to get the kids to create a free account. So this is just going to be something where you have the account. Even when the web app comes out, what's going to happen is you are going to be able to send all your students, and whenever you create a game, there's going to be a link to that particular game. So all you're going to have to do is share that link to the students. The students will click on that link, and they will be able to then click on what team they're in. But you could also have it be all of the students' names in your class, because it could be 30 names, however you want to run the game, if they were going to play as individuals or as groups. But yes, no one is going to have to get an account except for the game creator, whoever's running the game.
Great, thank you so much. Someone else said, thank you, this has been great. Another person said they already have a student interested. One person said that this is their first Hawks presentation. Thank you for the ideas and 3 items. They did a baby shower last year and wished they had this so much. It's a much easier way to play a remote game. Absolutely.
I tried Zoom. I got like a free trial to like the big, the Zoom, like the paid Zoom. And it didn't do what I wanted it to do. It was different.
Someone else says, thank you for this presentation. I will definitely try Breakout Fun at a faculty development event soon. Oh, that sounds like another great use for it.
Yeah, and if you want one of us to show up and help you a demo, just let us know. We would love to do that. We've been invited to a couple.
Also, please let us know how you find the game once you try it out. We're always open to feedback. If you need any further features, if you need assistance, you can always contact us, and we're more than happy to lead demos or just help out or optimize the game to fit your classes better. We received some feedback from engineering professors who found it really helpful for matching principles as well. So as I said, just give us an email if you need anything, or if you have some feedback. We're always very happy to help.
Great. Someone else just says, thank you very much. And then one person just wanted to confirm the statistics website was statmedic.com, correct?
Yep, I just put it in the chat for you.
Perfect. Great. Well, again, it looks like we do have a few more minutes. That's all the questions I see. So if you do have any more, feel free to go ahead and put them in the Q&A. Another person said, I thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
One person asked, where can I find the Excel version? I believe they need to email you, correct, Daniel?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, perfect. Another person asked, what do you see as the major advantages of this over other polling, Kahoot, Poll Everywhere, etc.?
Leonie, do you want to answer that?
Absolutely. So with Kahoot, it's more that, first of all, you have more setup time. That's one of the biggest things. And with Breakout Fun, you can be more how do I say this? You can be more creative with what you use. You can use test banks. You can use your previous tests that you have used for prep. You can use AP like formats, stuff like that. But I think the biggest component is that your students can really engage with one another. And especially you as an instructor can send them messages. This is not a feature that Kahoot has. This is not a feature that Quizlet, Polls Everywhere, nothing of that has it. And I feel like that is the big advantage of Breakout Fun, as well as the matching principles. Those are very hard to do in many applications, and Breakout Fun is very useful for that.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that, I mean, Kahoot's built a wonderful program. It's been used. It's been so valuable throughout, this challenging last year and a half. But there's a lot of bells and whistles. There's a lot of, kind of animations and timers. When we designed this, we really wanted the focus to be on the students and the interactions and driving that engagement that has kind of fallen by the wayside as over the last year, I would say.
Yeah, I think, especially in regards to the quick game, I can set this up in 5 minutes. I can grab my question banks that I already have saved. I can give that to the students. This thing's set up in 5 minutes. So for me, that's the big one. Like when I was going to do the baby shower thing, I was like, well, maybe Kahoot would work better for this. I spent like an hour trying to figure out what I wanted to do, creating something. And then I was just like, you know what? I don't think this is going to work. So that's the big thing with us. This thing is easy to use, quick setup time. And with the timer on there, it kind of like puts pressure on the students. Like, hey, we got to finish this. There's a timer right there. And the teacher is able to kind of see the results in real time. And I think, Leonie, at one of our other presentations, you mentioned something like that, where you go into breakout rooms, and oftentimes it can be, it can be awkward. Kids aren't really talking, but with this, it's like, hey guys, we're on the time clock. We got to get some stuff done. Somebody share the screen. And when John was doing the baby shower, he said that the people were just talking and laughing the whole time in the room. So it can help.
Yeah, that's great.
Facilitate those types of moments in your classroom. Where I sat in on a professor's class recently at Emmanuel College, where at the end she took out Kahoot to kind of see how the students did with the material in the class. And it was cool. Like everybody was, and I know that you can do stuff with teams on Kahoot, but it's just different. You don't have that same, I don't know. It's just not as teamly, I feel.
Also, to add on to that, with Kahoot, you mostly only see the top 5 players and how they've performed. With Breakout Fun, you see how all of the teams have performed over the different questions. And if you don't do teams and instead just do individual people, you can see how many people struggled. You don't just see the 5 players who performed really well and maybe the other 10 or 20 people in the class are falling behind in some questions. And that way you can target what you want to cover in your class, and it's very user-friendly. So you won't struggle with figuring out what questions do my students have problems with, and you don't need to ask your students, do we need to go over any topics? Because the game will answer that question for you, and it won't bring students to kind of embarrass themselves in front of class and say, hey, I have some questions, I'm struggling with this topic.
Great point.
Thank you so much. Another question, as we just have a few more minutes here, are there any YouTube videos that give more information on Breakout Fun?
Right now we have so in my demo video, I have a demo video on the website that you can check out. That pretty much goes over how to, set up the game, how to download it, how to, enter your questions in and things of that nature. That should cover a bunch. It's right on the website. There's an explainer video on there as well. If you need anything more than that, just please let me know. there's been a lot of people who have downloaded it, and no one's really had too many questions with it. But if you do, just send me an email, and I would be happy to get into it. I could get a group. We could play a test round with you, trying to learn how to use it. So yeah, happy to do all that stuff if anybody's interested.
We also plan on producing a lot of documentation around the web app. So we'll have videos, we'll have Instagram posts, LinkedIn, stuff like that. So.
Great, thank you, John. Is there a maximum number of teams that can play?
On this version, you're limited to 15. On the web app version, as many as like the server's bandwidth can handle. So pretty much unlimited. But here this version that you all just saw, 15 teams. Usually what I'll do is I'll play teams of like 4, 5, 6 students, maybe 5 students is probably a good number. For the baby shower that I just had, we had 15 teams. We used every team.
Right. We are just about at time, but if you could quickly talk about if you've noticed any change in class performance after using this in your class.
In terms of academic performance, I'm not really exactly sure. In terms of like doing things where students get to engage with each other, I would say it's been excellent. This is not a tool that you would use every day, obviously. This is something that I think that you could use 3 times a semester, maybe 4 times a semester without overkilling it. Just because if you have a quiz or a test coming up, it's a nice way to allow the kids to prepare. It's also an awesome activity on the first day of class. That's what I use it for. I taught 7 classes last semester, and on the first day, I taught 4 and then 3 on every other day. But I was just sitting there and just operating the Breakout Fun, and the kids gave me super good feedback. Maybe Leonie, you can talk a little. What was it like the first time you played, Leonie?
To be honest, every single time I heard like breakout rooms in meetings, it was shocking because you don't know anyone in those classes, especially if you're a freshman like I am. You don't know any of those people. You most likely haven't met them face to face, and it's really awkward. But with Breakout Fun, as people have said, with the timer, you're kind of crunched for time, and it engages people because you don't want to be the team who doesn't have any answers in. So people just slowly start talking with each other. And by the end of the round, to be honest, we basically knew each other pretty well. We had, I think, 10 minutes, and I got to know everyone, and we had much higher performance rates than in other classes where we were just kind of thrown in breakout rooms and told, hey, just complete this activity, and everyone was kind of on their own. So I've definitely seen more engagement happening in Dr. Holbrook's classes. I never had the issue with people just like not unmuting themselves or with having their cameras off. To be honest, I also saw more people being interested in the material after using the Breakout Fun game, because they're actually forced to communicate with their classmates about what we're going to put in for the answer. So that's how much I can tell you about it.
I think another thing that's good with it is like, say you're a student who maybe you're struggling a little bit with the class, and we have an assessment coming out, we're using this tool. That person will have a pretty good understanding of at least what they need to start studying and learning. It can kind of give everybody a little check as to where they are, at least, in their own mind. But in terms of like this being used to increase specific learning outcomes, not really sure. But is it great for collaborative learning and kids meeting each other and icebreakers and stuff like that? I think it's excellent, actually. And in the classroom, when you use it, like, if your administrator walks by when you're playing this game, your kids are going to be laughing, cheering, talking to each other. They're going to have cool names. There's going to be loud. For those types of purposes, it's excellent.
Great, thank you so much. I know.
Unit reviews are perfect for this.
Yeah.
I know we are over time by a few minutes. There's just one more question about, is it hard to put on Zoom, and maybe do you have any documentation for how to use Zoom?
To use with Zoom? In terms, so to be completely honest, I kind of forget what was on the demo video, to be completely honest with you. I do have videos for everything though. If you want to send me an email, I can share them with you, because to be honest with you, I forget what I put in that complete demo online at this point, because there were some changes made over the last couple months. We've been waiting for the web app to come out, and but yes, I do have a video that goes over some like best practices with Zoom in terms of like some of the things that I showed you today, in terms of like how to set up automatic breakout rooms, how to get rid of the timer when you close the room so that you don't have the 60-second countdown, just so that when it's over, you hit the button, boom, the kids all come out. Maybe you want the timer though, but you know, you just need to know that you need to click that button when there's a minute left, you know, or something like that. But I do have all the video stuff, and we also do have written documentation that we can definitely send to you. So yeah, so just send me an email. If you look on the website and you're still have questions, just reach out to me, and I will provide you with whatever you need.
Great, thank you so much. And one other person just said, looking forward to the web app. Sounds like it may be simpler to use from a student viewpoint. Sounds like you have an untapped market in the baby shower world, though. Thank you for the presentation.
One thing that's really cool about the web application is, so like, you know, a lot of kids bring computers to school, but some kids don't. But one of the things that's going to be great about the web app version is students are going to be able to input answers on their cell phone. So like you can pass out the papers of the questions to the students, and they're like sitting in a circle or something. You know, they work on the questions, put it on the paper. One person can just type it right into their cell phone. You know, so that's one of the big things that I want, so that you don't have to have your computer even to do it. And then what you do is you have the scoreboard displaying on your overhead projector.
So thank you so much. Again, that's the end of the Q&A. I know we went a little over time, so thank you everyone for sticking in here. Thank you again, Professor Holbrook, and thank you for all attending today. If you have any questions, please direct them to us at marketing@hawkslearning.com. We will be emailing you the link to view the webinar on demand once the video is ready. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.